Okay, hi class. Today we will be talking about the exports. I'd just like to clarify a few points in terms of how we can export multiple functions from a single file. I think contrary to how I go through in class that mainly talk about the single function that you can export, I'm going to show you how you can do multiple function exports in this example. So first of all, we have to create our first file, right? So we have to save this file. Let's call it main.js, right? Right, so now we have this main.js. The first thing this means we need to be able to do is first export the files. I think not exports, import the files we need, right? So how do we import the files we need? So the examples that we've gone through before is quite straightforward, right? So we call it additional functions, right? We have a variable called additional functions that imports over our additional funcs, right? So this import the files we need in actually doing the functions or utilizing the functions. So now that we know that we have these functions, we need to be able to create our own add funcs, right? So next thing we do is we create add funcs.js, right? So in this case, we can consider creating function 1, creating function 2. Then the last thing we do is to be able to export the functions, the function 1 and 2. Right, so this is our layout of how we're gonna do this example. So of course, when we're creating a function, we can just say function print my name. Right, so it has the name, and then we open it up. So in this case, we can just put console.log your name is name. So this particular function will just print your name. Simple to understand, right? So moving on to the next one, say print my age, for example. So it says age. So console.log your age is age. So this is the two functions that we created in add funcs. So once we have done with this, we need to be able to export these functions out. So one thing you have seen is in our class, we've gone through exports equal to print my name, right? So this will only just work for only one function. But we want to be able to export 2, 3, 4, right? So, I mean, if you want to go through a more layman example, you could have just simply done this. Print my age, right? So this exports only one function. But now that we have these two together, we export 2 functions at the same time. But it's very cumbersome to write module.exports multiple times. So what you can do is that you can put it inside a curly braces that encapsulates all the functions that you want to export. So in this case, module.exports equal to curly bracket print my name, comma, print my age. And then we end on this semicolon there. So this file is now prepared and prepped for you to use. So now we go back to our first main.js. We know that we have additional funcs as a variable that holds all the functions in add funcs. So now we can simply trigger these functions. So additional funcs dot, we try to recall the name. So for example, print my age, and then we just run. However, remember print my age requires a parameter here, an argument. So what we do, we need to put in a number, right? Let's say I'm not 6 years old. Let's say I'm 25 years old, for example. And that is how I print my name. So what about the other one? So additional functions dot print my name. So let's say I'm Glenn, for example. So in this case, this code simply allows you to run the functions from another file with not just one function from that file. You have multiple functions. So we're just going to try to run this right now, and then we'll see what happens. Alright, I need to open the debug terminal. Okay, never mind, I'll just open this, right? So node main.js. Right. You see, notice that our function works as per normal. But let's say if you have multiple functions, let's say I want to have a function that returns a text, right? So we can just simply say, okay, I want to print my name and age, for example. So we're taking two parameters, name and age, and we can simply return a text variable, let's say a string variable that allows us to print on our main.js, for example, console.log, right? So we can simply put, let's say, your name is your name plus, for the comma, your age is age, right? So this will simply export a string over to your function, like it returns the string, and then we just simply need to include this function over here that we'll be exporting. You go back to our main function, and we can do the same thing. So additional functions.print my name and age. So I'll put, let's say my name is Glenn and age is 35, right? But remember that this print my name age returns a variable, it returns a value, not doing an action for you. So what you need to do here is that we need to console.log and do it here. So now we try giving this a go again. There you go. So what essentially I'm going through in this example, it shows that you can export more than just one function from a single file instead of just one function per file, which I believe will be very useful when you are doing your assignment in coding, when you're splitting the work up between your team members. All right.